And of course, you as students now, you've seen how to facilitate, use your voice, and do a power animal journey. In this particular case, it was a lot different than the way you've been trained to do it. So I'd like to talk just a little bit about that, because your assignment is going to be to, facilitate a power animal journey.
Most of the journeys that I've done have been to find a power animal for someone. So I've actually been speaking what I'm seeing for the other person, and then I blow the power animal into their heart and crown chakra.
Okay, all right.
So it's yeah.
And tell us a little bit pros and cons, because there are cons
I agree.
to this process the way I do it.
No, I was
as well as pros.
Well, I was going to say that I actually really like the fact that I was journeying for my own power. I feel like so my first power animal, a friend gave it to me. She journeyed for me to find my power animal, and that was really empowering, because I didn't even know what a power animal was, and it became this really precious thing. But I feel like to be introduced and to find your own power animal for yourself, I'm like so excited for myself.
Okay, good.
You know what I mean?
Good, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scratch you. But, so I feel like your method makes it...
Yeah, it's
like
a method. It's a method.
A method.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like really self-empowering, because the person is finding the power animal for
good
themselves.
Point. Yeah. But there's some drawbacks too. And I'm very aware of those, but the audience may not be. So what was some interference for you? Let's realistically talk about that in terms of how some of this.
There was so much to listen to.
Yep.
There was a lot of, and it was almost like all of those things it would have been great, but to have an hour to really to like really be and explore all of the suggestions you offered, to have that stretched out. But for someone who's not journeyed before, they might not feel comfortable
with that long.
Yeah,
sometimes an hour is a long time. Yeah. So, but good point though, because I haven't really discussed this with other students too much, and it's good to have this on tape, because I think that just as in any kind of facilitation process, like we talked with emotional release, you can get in the way of that process. And I think sometimes the timing, you can't anticipate where they are in their journey. You try to lead them through some steps, but you were way ahead with Fox.
I was, but then I got behind eventually. I think leaving like 1 minute gaps or 2 minute gaps for the person to really hang out with. I think that I allowed myself to do that, but I also wanted to honor what I wanted to make sure that I was.
Well, yes, and it was hard. I was experiencing some of those same things of getting into the journey. It's really hard sometimes as you're doing this. You begin to alter your state of consciousness as well, and it's hard for me then to have a sense of time. You're outside of time in a sense. So I didn't know if I was going to go on too long, or the timing is a very big piece of this. And sometimes it's good just maybe it would work even better, thinking ahead to other sessions, if I gave a general outline of, okay, this is kind of where the journey goes and unfolds, but when we get to that point, I'm going to just really allow 15 or 20 minutes of drumming by itself with no talking. That might be a combination way.
Well, I'm also wondering so I wasn't sure how much you wanted me to be sharing
while
we were going along.
Yeah.
So, because if I were sharing, then you would know.
Mm-hmm. And I did. Yeah.
So then you would know kind of where I was, and you might be able to pick. So I didn't realize that I was...
No, it wasn't supposed to.
Okay.
You weren't supposed to necessarily, but the fact that you did was great, because sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. In other sessions with clients, when they're on the table or on the floor, it becomes, what's the difference between guided visualization and journeying? Well, some people don't do any of that voice preparation stuff. They just drum, and it's totally on its own. That happens too in just regular sound healing sessions. I may be doing a guided visualization, and then at some point I just, allow the client to go on its own. So it's a good thing
This
to
is
discuss,
interesting. Yeah.
because you don't always know if they're giving you feedback. Sometimes that's helpful, and then sometimes
I mean,
it interrupts the process.